Darkness. It began in darkness. Fear, doom, and death. War reaped across the land. Destruction raged and destroyed everything. The first war of destruction and untold pain on the human race. It ended on that fateful day. But this story begins before that. Before the end. Before the destruction. In the time of blissful ignorance. It began on that fateful day. The rising of the BRICS powers. Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Who met on the United Nations steps and plotted the downfall of their enemies. But they didn't realize it was a day to live in infamy. Their plan, enacted on a day engraved forever in the minds of the world, 9/11. Osama bin Laden, in fact, was not the mastermind, but a puppet for BRIC bent on world domination. When those planes hit the towers, their plan enacted full swing. With the economies of Europe and America in chaos, BRIC withdrew all of their money from the securities as well as the bonds. In effect, the economy and nations of Europe and the United States were thrown into chaos. Riots broke out across the world, fire raged in cities, and people thought the world had ended, except they couldn't be more wrong. With BRICS power rising, they wished to wipe out evidence of their crimes, betraying Al-Qaeda and assassinating Osama bin Laden. In retaliation, terrorist cells snuck into India's nuclear weapons research facilities, stealing the secrets, and teamed up with Middle Eastern arms dealers and suicidally bombed India, which in turn incurred the wrath and countermeasures of the Indian nation, and effectively clouding the entirety of the Middle Eastern hemisphere in nuclear winter. Meanwhile, the United States Central Intelligence agents discovered a lead towards the case of 9/11 and discovered the plot of the BRIC agents, and with a joint operation with Canadian and Mexican officials, led an attack against Brazil as well as many allies such as Cuba and Venezuela, and effectively seized control of the Western Hemisphere. Moreover, rising from the chaos and the ashes of Europe, Germany's production powerhouse led to a new reign of Nazism and swept out, conquering Europe with ease and taking control of the entire continent of Africa. A three-way war arose, with Russia and China, the remaining BRIC powerhouses, the UAF, or otherwise known as the United Americans Front, on the other, and the sweeping reign of Nazism throughout the Eastern Hemisphere. And this is where my tale begins. The start of the war to end all wars. A weapon, death, and physics.
Mr. Clark?
Mr. Peranto.
Glad you can make it.
Yes, thank you.
Seems like today's the day.
Yeah, she's right up here.
Perfect weather too. It's very ominous.
Indeed. Looks like a storm's brewing.
It all began 1 year ago.
Good afternoon, Mr. Clark.
Good afternoon, Mr. Toronto.
Let's get down to business now.
Let's see here. So you're working on the machine, right? The leader of research and technological developer was Sean Tobolewski, the brains of the bunch. Then there was Ness, the project engineer and designer, who was tougher than nails and knew what he wanted, and he got it. And Prino, the project head. He led the team through thick and thin, or something like that. And then there was myself, the handsome, daring, intrepid reporter, with the scoop of the century, a weapon to end the war.
Right here. The crew's putting the final touches on it right now.
The old classified aids. Dr. Neff. Alright, good to see you. Yeah. It's done.
You can explain to me how it works now?
Yeah. Well, we hoist up this weight staff. Out of the hole in the ground, this coils around here. This is just a friction fit. So as that coils around here, this wheel here to lift it up, this rope gets wound around here. So that as it falls, it'll pull on this rope. Out here. Like that, all the way up to the rope. And here's our trigger mechanism and sling system. This is compressed here, held in by this pin. Held in by that pin, as this is looped through here and on the end. Our atomic golf ball goes in here, and as it rotates, when the trigger is set, as this bar hits this point, it pulls out the pin, releasing this out and releasing the sling. And this in here, there's a pin run from the weight system, which goes in here holding this back, and then as the weights fall, when they get to a certain point, this will pull and release. Releasing this pin, hitting this, and launching the golf ball at supersonic speeds. Go for it! Go!
Congratulations, Mr. Neff. You have just invented the next great weapon of the age. So it looks like you had a good day of testing the other day. Can you tell me what exactly happened?
Sure, allow me to explain.
This was it. The end was near. As soon as those plans passed from one hand to the other, the end of the war was in sight. And I got the story of a lifetime.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control 9, to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition 1, and may God's love be off with you.
From the dark of the night, fiery ashes, these brave men rose up to protect us from the dark of night. They had done it. Together their bravery lives on.